Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Living Lives. Today, I always like to say what's in my diffuser, and today I have a blend that I made myself, and I included spikenard, which is the oil of gratitude, and it encourages true appreciation for life, and it encourages the soul to surrender and accept life exactly as it is. It invites individuals to let go and find an appreciation for all of life's experiences. And I also added to that rose, which is the oil of divine love. And I chose that because it invites individuals to experience the unwavering, unchanging, and unconditional love of the divine. And it heals hearts and dresses all wounds. And as one feels unconditional love and acceptance, the heart is softened and the heart fully opens, and a fountain of love flows freely through the soul. And I think it's in this state of clarity and charity that these two together, you'll see when I introduce my guest today, we're going to see that together. So today I'm joined by Master Joshua. He's the co-founder of the Kink Collective, which is a relationship coach, event organizer, educator, and professional dominant. He has 20 plus years living the BDSM lifestyle, and he has devoted himself solely to guiding others to live fully realized lives. By working to normalize the conversation around non-traditional sexual behaviors, he allows others to engage in deep reflection and to pursue their own truths. And his guiding philosophy is people first. So welcome, Joshua.
Hello, thank you for having me, Wayne. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's great to see you again. Just for an aside, we spent actually 4 days together this past weekend at a retreat up at Easton Mountain. And one of the core workshops of that retreat is your people first philosophy. But first, let's talk about how did you get to where you are today? Just a brief.
So, a brief background of myself. I worked for the government for maybe about 15 years out of this time frame. I was in the military for a period of time after high school. From there, I went into law enforcement for about 10 years. And from there, I went into executive protection, doing bodyguard work for royal families and politicians and executives. I'm from New York City. I grew up in East Harlem. And one of my goals, trying to understand my purpose when I was younger, was I want to help people. And that's a very general statement, right? So it's taken years and experiences to filter through, well, what does that mean? The military gave me a lot of experience connecting with people from other cultures, but it wasn't really helping people to the way that was fulfilling. Law enforcement, that was not helping people. And when I went into executive protection, around the same time as when I started engaging with people for healing. And by that, I mean, I started my own journey of sexual identity and understanding, right? So what I realized in this process is we're not given a space to talk, right? To share ourselves without being shamed or feeling embarrassed, right? So we carry these masks around. And while I pursued my own journey of identity, this was the trend I was noticing, was that people need a container to share. And that's where the people first philosophy came into practice, was my connections, my personal journey through different communities, and then connecting with others who were looking for something similar, but who had nowhere to share it.
Mhm.
So I started doing professional domination. Now, there's all types of examples and definitions of what that could look like. Oftentimes they're associated with sex workers, which I understand, and oftentimes not. For some, sex is a part of the journey, and for others, it isn't, right? For myself, I wanted to be the person I didn't have, right? I wanted to be the safe space for people to share. And I realized how empowering it was almost immediately, right? To give someone agency and validation in their existence, because you're witnessing their confession and you're like, it's okay,
Hmm.
right? And it's life changing, it's healing. And it happened with one person, and then it happened with another and another. And I saw this process not only in my professional life, but in my personal journey too, as I continued developing connections, right? And in these connections, you risk being vulnerable because you take the steps of being transparent, and
Hmm.
you take the steps of openly communicating, right? Because if I'm going to share myself with you, either you're going to accept me or you're not. And if you don't, then this exchange should end, right? Well, easier said than done, and at varying degrees, but ultimately see if what's in front of you is being reciprocated. Not that anyone is more or less, is just different wavelengths, right?
Right.
Different parts of our lives where we're not connecting yet because the energy is not the same, right? And that's okay. So in my process of professional domination, what I realized is it's therapy, right? Our process of connection and creating opportunities, containers for vulnerability with others gives us chance to take risk of getting hurt, right? And when you realize the investment does have a positive return, and even though I do risk getting hurt, the love that's coming back at me is
Hmm.
so much greater. It's worth the risk. So we get the confidence in developing relationships. We get the confidence in saying, if I'm myself, I can find people who accept me, and I'll find others who don't, and that's okay, right? Because they're not ready for me. And it gives us faith in our existence and what we're able to create with our connections. Um, I'm part of a research group out in San Francisco called Tashra, where I'm working with these research psychologists, because I want to bring professional domination to the level of recognized as a form of therapy,
Hmm.
right? Because it's not the actions, right? It's not what we do when we're with the client solely. It's the process to get to that point of vulnerability, right? It's the point of having enough space to say and own, this is who I am to me as the professional dom. That's the healing part, right? Of being acknowledged and validated. The rest is the experience, right? Of being in your body now.
Hmm.
Now that I've acknowledged myself, this is who I am, and this is what I'm allowing myself to feel.
That's really empowering when you think about it, because it really allows us to be ourselves and attract the people that resonate with that, like vibrations attract. And it goes back to one of the oils I put in the diffuser was rose. It's the highest vibration oil that there is. And I really believe that the work that you're doing and that we did together over the weekend with the rest of the guys that were there, uh, that it really does help raise the vibrations around us. And when that happens, we can really make a big impact on the world, because we're in our power, and we can bring that and all of our. And I think you said to me the other night, my healing work is encompasses all of my journey through my entire life. I bring all of that to my healing work, even if you're just coming for a massage. So it's it's really kind of cool to see the development that happened over the weekend with some of the guys that were there, and also to with when you go through that yourself, it's definitely you come out in a feeling better, and feeling better about yourself and your interactions with others. And sometimes we realize that some of the people that we've been hanging out with really aren't the people we should be hanging out with. And we should go with people who empower who empower us, and we can empower them as well.
With the people first, I'm going to touch two things: people first, and touching others the way you need it, right?
Hmm.
We'll come to the philosophy after. You as a somatic worker, right? You
Hmm.
have pain in your body, you have stress in your body, you have trauma in your body, and you know how you need to be touched for it to release, right? When you have the person below you, you understand their stresses personally because you understand what stress in the body feels like, and you understand what they need because you need it. So
Right.
you, as the wounded healer, get to heal others because of your pain that you've carried, right? So you get to touch them in ways that you get to exchange energy in ways that you know the body can benefit because you carry the pain yourself.
Hmm.
And it's often overlooked, the healing elements that we do, that we are as human beings, right? We're lucky that we're able to focus a little bit more on the connection because that's what we do, right? I think if people were to realize that connection was more important than one of the most important things of human existence, right? Our priorities would change quite a bit.
Right.
Ego, ego is a big killer of this, right? And this is where the gender thing we were talking about, the gender, which I won't get into, a huge thing, but ego is what prevents us from looking past
Hmm.
our immediate need for identity, right? It's like we're so much grander than this. Just to summarize it, I'm a believer that gender is a construct and that we shouldn't have to abide by a binary or any system that acknowledges gender as real because it's just biological. It's a spectrum. Some have more than other of each, and it's like do some research and you understand. So anyway, uh, now people first as a philosophy is that right? Is you are who you are before what you are, right? You're a human being. You're a person, right? You have pain, you have sorrow, you have happiness, you have goals and desires, and if we gave space to people for existence, just to exist, right? How many relationships have we passed up because the person in front of us didn't look like what we wanted them to look like, right? Because we didn't take a moment to hear what they were saying. Yeah, first impressions and all that stuff. But take a moment to close your eyes and open your ears, right? Listen to who the person is in front of you. Character and morals, right? Do those match? More importantly, do they match what you're looking at, right? And what you're witnessing, right? What is their existence actually like? Are they treating the wait staff like crap? Are they talking poorly of people and always projecting negativity? Right? That's not those those are the markers I work on,
Hmm.
right? And helping people understand that we can ask for more out of our life and our connections is how people first came to pass. Um, I created an organization called SSDCE, which stands for the Sanctuary for Spiritual Development and Consciousness Expansion. And along with my professional domination, I'm taking my healing work from what I've learned as a professional dominant and steering it more towards spiritual development and consciousness expansion, right? Because that's what we're all trying to do is become whole, right?
Right. And that whole, it starts with connecting to the body, which is a lot of what my work is, uh, through the massage as well as through the essential oils. My tagline, if you will, is I help men connect to themselves and so begin the greatest adventure of their lives. And I think
You're
that
stealing my stuff, man. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
but uh, I think that's why we relate so well, actually. But
Yeah.
the it really starts, with yourself, because if you're not confident with who you are, then you don't portray, or you're trying to portray what the society wants to see and not who you are, and then it really looks fake because you're not being authentic you know with yourself and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely, I think it's definitely key to start, with yourself. And you and I both, as healers, can help people do that.
You spoke about authenticity, right? Authentic self.
Hmm.
And it's hard, right? So I do psilocybin for myself, for my own personal growth and insight. And I've helped others in the past with their journey. Psilocybin being a new form of therapy that isn't. It's like how cannabis came into the market for its therapeutic use. Psilocybin, or magic mushrooms as it's known, is also something that's roaring in. And I've done my own personal journeys, and I've helped others with theirs on different levels. And I recently did one, right? And I did one for my birthday, which was maybe 3 weeks ago now, 4 weeks ago. And in that journey, I asked the universe, I said, universe, what's the purpose of existence? Right? Not why are we here, right? Not the whole question, but it sort of was, right? And what it told me in return was the purpose of life is to experience emotions as an individual identity apart from the collective conscious,
Mhm.
right? All the emotions, the good and the bad, right? Because good and bad is relative too. You're here to tell a story. You're here to write your own story, right? You have like your highest potential, right? Wayne A to Z, Z being enlightened, the next enlightened person, right?
Mhm.
Now, this is where free will comes in. Think of it like as an avatar in a video game, right? You have your story that you can go from the beginning all the way to the best very end version of possible. But we have all these variables. We have emotions, we have other human beings and spirits to deal with, we have our environments. How do we engage in our society, and all these factors and decisions we make? And that's why free will is important, because you are writing your story. It's up to you to get to the best version of yourself. And I'm sitting there like, wow, now that I know this, how do I implement it? Right? Because that's also the other part of it, right? You can't have these ideas and thoughts. And it's not like you're hallucinating and seeing pink elephants. What you're doing is you're looking at your life from a grander scale. And what it's telling you is you have the potential to achieve what you want if you do what's right. Integrity, right?
Mhm.
If you do what's right, if you always do what's right, you'll get there. Now, the hard part is we're humans, right? And we don't always do what's right. Sometimes we do what's right for us, because that's where our ego comes in, right? Because we need to validate what we're doing. Slow down, right? Look at the bigger picture. There's more to it than us and our feelings. It's the whole existence as a whole. Write your story to the best of your ability, right? And it's your story. It's your story to inspire people, right? It's your story to let others see that they're not alone. But sometimes jealousy is bred out there, and envy, but that's not your fault either, right? It's it's meant to live in your power, right? Don't let. And it's easier said than done, because I'm just getting out of this door for myself, right? I'm just getting out of the door for myself. But find the support, find people to talk to. That's what it is. Find people to talk to, right? Again, people first. Find people to talk to, because you need to validate what you're feeling, and you need to hear yourself reflected back that you're not the only one going through this, right? Wayne, let me ask you a question. How old were you when you realized that everyone was lost, right? Everybody's winging life, right? No one knows.
Yeah. Halfway through my life, it was, you know, 25, 30 age, I guess.
Yeah, it's scary. It's like, wait a second, right? Or when we realize that our parents were young, raising us,
Right.
right? Right? Like my parents, I I'm a sex addict, right? And I say it because sex has affected my life in negative ways that had many points of no return, right? Detrimental to my livelihood. Um, I attribute it to not having enough affection and intimacy from my parents. Not to blame anything on anyone, right? This is the way I've connected it to understand was I like it? Why was I like the way I was? Right? My journey into BDSM helped me understand my value in interpersonal relationships. I was able to work through that and heal because of my lifestyle journey. But what I needed to take into consideration was, how were they being raised, right? And were they
Hmm.
getting the affection and intimacy they needed, which they weren't, right? They both had 12 siblings each. And my grandmother worked 2, 3 jobs. They didn't get it, so they didn't understand it, so they didn't know how to do it, right? And how
Mhm.
do we break the generational curses? How could they even know how to do that, right? The knowledge and the stuff wasn't readily available. People weren't looking for that. The American dream is um is a system, right? It's like the Matrix to keep you working, paying taxes, live and die, right? It's a version of the Matrix. The human dream should be the human experience, right? That should be the goal. To write an amazing story.
Yeah, that is, and we do have to take the time and introspection to be able to write that story. Where are we going? What are we doing? What's our true values, and are we living up to them?
Yeah,
You said before, how are you treating the waiters in the restaurant? Are you saying one thing and then treating them different, or and you can see that pretty quickly by just watching somebody, how they're, what they say they believe in versus what they do. Actions, they always say, speak louder than words.
yeah,
Because it's true. Are you living up to what you're professing are your values?
yeah,
And when you're not, it's quite apparent, and it goes back to the authenticity. You're not. It's, everybody knows you're not being authentic because you're not doing what you say you do, or what you say you believe in.
yeah. Authenticity crumbles. Fake authenticity, right? Projection crumbles really quick, right? But how much introspective work are we doing? That's another thing, is who's taught us how to do it, right? That's why finding like a mentor just in life is hugely
Yeah,
important. I've had to learn a lot of my stuff the hard way, and um, I don't want that to be the same for others like myself.
yeah. It's, that's one. We're taught reading, writing, and arithmetic, but not interpersonal
Mhm.
skills, and also how to develop yourself. Learning, it's a lifelong thing, and if we're not, it doesn't have to be I'm learning Spanish, or I'm learning law, or I'm learning something like that. It really is about learning the whole interpersonal piece of it, and how, where we stand and what we're bringing to the world, and finding what our mission in life is. And that, and maybe we have a job to support the mission, or maybe we're lucky enough to work in the mission as our job, um, which is even better. So
It's
it's
funny that you say
definitely,
that.
you know
I would with some of my relationships, there's what you have called power exchanges, right?
mhm.
Where someone is in service or support to what I'm doing. And I've recently asked the universe, I said, "Dear universe, can I get someone for that specifically?" And in my mind, I had a very specific bracket of or what this type of person is, who this type of person is, and I start I start drawing people of that profile, right? And I can feel them coming closer. I've met someone who I'm putting some time getting to know to see if they feel the same way as I feel in helping
Mhm.
people self actualize, right? Because my end game is what I want to do is I want to take all this experience with SSDCE and with my professional domination work. Can I say the website?
Sure, yeah.
Masterjoshua.com and ssdce.org. And I want to take this combined experience with another goal of mine is end of life doula work, where I want to help people of advanced age and advanced illness self actualize. And by that, I mean creating a container for them to speak their truths, right? To come live openly with someone who can acknowledge and witness them before they transition to afterlife.
Hmm.
And then what I want to do, I want to take that information, those experiences and knowledge, and then I want to write children's books with it, right? To help kids learn that life can be more than what you're told it is, right? And to really take advantage of these opportunities. Because if I knew then what I knew now, right? Granted, we're supposed to learn things at our own pace, and we are supposed to pick up our cups and put them down, and pick up bags and put them down, and trauma and all this stuff. We're supposed to experience it. But what if we can empower ourselves with different perspective while experiencing it? So
Did I
I
get
want,
those two right?
yes, yes, yes. Thank you so much. And I would love someone who is committed to that purpose with me.
Yeah.
Right. So I'm trying to manifest that. So if you're watching and you're like, oh, wait a second, I think I can do that. No, but this is my purpose, right? I found a calling which took me many years, and I mean imposter syndrome and doubt and regret, and there's always some sort of doubt that lingers somewhere, right? Uh, Trying to pay no mind to it or address it as quickly as I can to negate it. It's not always easy, but I'm glad that I've been able to give my life a greater purpose than what do I want, right? It's kind of like it's kind of weird.
And I met you a few years ago at another one of these retreats, and you definitely had a strong personality there, and it's been really kind of cool to see where you are now compared to where you were then. And lucky enough to have a nice long chat with you the last night, and it really was. It is good to see the growth in you, and I know there's definitely been growth in me as well. So it's good to see that and to acknowledge that in each other
Yeah,
as
very much.
we grow closer to one another, and see how, like you said, see how we fit into our our human experience and what we're doing to fulfill our mission. So I applaud you for the work you're doing on yourself and on behalf of the rest of humanity. And I want to thank you for being on the show today. And if you want to hang out in the green room for a second, I'll just wrap up the show and I'll be right back with you.
Thank you so much for having me on. You've been nothing but inspirational and life-changing for me as well. Thank you for the space.
Thank you. And up next week, we are going to have Katie Augustin. She'll be joining us from the Spiritual Life Center. And I also want to tell you about a new program that I have right now. It's if you're looking for or need some help getting some holistic type gifts for friends and family or for yourselves for the holidays, you can book a private shopper appointment with me at calendly.com/Wayne Leiss. So I look forward to chatting and helping anybody with those. And as always, I encourage you all to go out, make a connection, and live your best lives. Thanks, everybody, and I'll see you next week.